Hello all you coin collectors out there, and welcome to DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Today we're going to take a look at the 1964 and 1965 Canadian 1 penny coins or 1 cent coins. And one of the things that we'll talk about, which we've talked about a couple times before, is that in Canada they put 1 cent on their coins and they use the number 1. Whereas in the United States, they use the word 1. So this is a United States Lincoln Memorial penny. And this one's actually from 1969. So it's 69 Philadelphia. And again, it says the word 1. And in Canada, they use the number 1. So that's one difference. Another difference is what they do in Canada in terms of when they change their coins. So if we look at these, every one of these says 1 cent on the top, Canada on the bottom, has the maple leaves. And if we blow these up, we can see there's two here next to each other. There's a 64 and a 65. And they each have the same denticles all the way around it. So the back of this coin, these two coins, is actually all the same. We actually have the KG over here for George Cougar Gray, who was the engraver designer of these coins. But when we flip them over, we see that there's a huge difference, and let's take a look at that. So first, here's the 1964 coin. And there she is. That's Queen Elizabeth II. This, of course, is the first portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. And the reason I say first portrait is because when we look at the 1965, we see that it has the second portrait. And unless you look closely, you might not even notice these when you get them in change. But when you do look at them closely, you realize these are quite different coins. So this is the 27-year-old Queen Elizabeth II in the 1964 coin. And then this is the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II in the 1965 coin. And she's 27 in this engraving. She's 39 in this engraving. What does that mean? Well, this engraving actually started the first portrait coin. The 64 coin was the last year that they had this engraving on it. So in Canada in 1953, they came out with the first Queen Elizabeth II coin and put this first portrait on it. And then in 1964, they came out with the last of these first portraits. And this is it here, the Queen Elizabeth II 1 cent coin. Now, in 1965, they came out with a new image of Queen Elizabeth II, and that's this one here. And we see that it says Elizabeth II, DG, or by the grace of God, Regina, or Queen. And we say on this one it says Elizabeth II, Dea Gratia. So they actually spelled the DG out until 1965. See, this DG, DG. And this is the grace of God, or the deity, Gratia, DG. So they actually changed what it said on the coin also on the front. But again, when we get to the back, we see that they are incredibly similar on the back because they are the same engraving and same coin. They are also the same makeup. They're both bronze coins with 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 0.15% and 1.5% zinc. So the 1965 coin was made from 1965 until 1979 when, guess what? They came out with another new portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. And that one was the third portrait, which looks, this is a 2002, but it looks something like this. So this is the third portrait. So we went first portrait. I'll make it a little smaller so you can see the whole thing. Second portrait. And then in 1980, we came out with the third portrait. In the third portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, was had a bunch of different designs on it, and we'll take a look at that in another video. How this is, of course, the 50th year after her coronation, and so when we start looking through these, we'll see that there's a bunch of different kinds of Canadian coins, and we'll bring this in for another day. All right, well, that's all we have today for the 1964 and the 1965 Canada 1-cent coin. Oh, I'll tell you how many they made, and they're not extremely valuable. They're probably worth between 10 and 15 cents. In 1965, they made 305 million, or 304.5 million. And in 1964, they made 485 million, essentially. So 485 million of these. And when they came to the next year, because they'd made so many in 1964, in 1965 they didn't make as many, and they only made 304.5 million. And they actually didn't make many of these for a while because they had so overstocked on this one, just in case there was a problem with the new, that they didn't have to make many of these pennies after that, or these 1-cent coins. All right, well, that's all we have today from the DC Coin Roll International Coin Channel. We'd love to have you subscribe to our channel and leave any comments you might have in the comments section.